Imagine it. The universe deciding, before you ever took a breath, that your place would be the shadows. That your destiny would be sealed in the wax of rejection, your story scribbled in the margins of ridicule, forgotten by history before it began. Most would surrender. Most would shrink and bend beneath that weight. But in the storm-tossed wilds of Corsica, a child named Napoleon Bonaparte was born, and with him, a will so ferocious, so unyielding, that fate itself would tremble. Napoleon, no royal lineage, no fortune, no French birthright. Just the sharp winds of an island, a salt-bitten tongue that Parisian elites mocked, and a fire in the eyes that frightened those who saw too closely. They called him a provincial, a nobody, laughed at his accent, his ambition, his refusal to play by their aristocratic rules. But while the nobility waltzed beneath golden chandeliers, young Napoleon devoured strategy books by candlelight. He studied every page of Alexander's conquests, drew battle lines in the margins of ancient texts, saw not maps but future empires unclaimed. Every insult, every door slammed in his face, every night spent shivering with hunger and doubt. These were the coals that stoked the furnace within. He did not beg entry to the velvet salons. He constructed his own war room, where the weapons were geometry, artillery, and an imagination unchecked by the limits of what has always been done. But let's take you to the moment where fate and fury collided, 1793. France, a nation torn by revolution, bleeding at the seams. The port city of Toulon, a vital artery, is seized by British ships and royalist guns. In the Council of War, seasoned generals see only disaster. They speak in hushed voices of retreat, of honorable defeat. Enter a 24-year-old artillery captain, too young and too brash for their liking. Napoleon Bonaparte steps into the smoke and the silence and sees not a fortress, but a flaw, a thin line, a neglected battery, a window where history might be shattered. He does what others won't, studies every gun, every angle, every wind that bends the flight of cannonballs. He positions batteries like a chess master, sketches lines of fire until his hands bleed ink. While others debate and dither, Napoleon acts. At dawn, his cannons unleash hell. Iron rains upon the British lines. Smoke blots out the sun. And in the heart of the chaos, Bonaparte does not command from a distant hill. He leads the charge, sword glinting, boots slamming up the blood-soaked ramparts. Musket balls hiss around him. The air is thick with death, but the young Corsican climbs ever higher, rallying men twice his age and rank. By nightfall, Toulon is reclaimed. The tricolour flutters in victory. The generals who once dismissed him now crowd close, eager to claim him as their own. The nobody is now a legend, and every snicker becomes silence. But true immortality isn't born in a single blaze. After Toulon, France's fate would again hang by a thread. Her armies were ragged, more rabble than soldiers, their hearts broken by endless war and betrayal. Napoleon was handed command of men without boots or bread. He faced officers who whispered behind his back, jealous and fearful, and troops so hungry that hope seemed a fairy tale. What did he do? He walked among them, sharing their crusts of bread, their jokes, their pain. He inspired not with grand promises, but with iron resolve. In Italy, the campaign began against all odds. Outnumbered, outgunned, the enemy held the high ground, literally and figuratively. Yet, Napoleon saw what they missed. Mountains were not obstacles, but highways for the bold. He crossed the Alps in winter, leading his men through blizzards that would have sent Hannibal home. When Austrians expected him from one direction, he swept in from another, outmaneuvering entire armies with speed and vision. The battles came swift, each a symphony of surprise and relentless motion. His genius? A ferocious mix of grand vision and obsessive preparation. Objectives so daring, even his closest aides thought him mad. Logistics calculated to the minute, food, munitions, morale, all woven into a tapestry of inevitable victory. Every battle was not just a contest of force, but of will. Where the Austrians saw impossible, Napoleon saw a challenge, an invitation to defy the universe's script. Yet, even for giants, the abyss awaits. The Russian campaign, his greatest gamble, and history's coldest lesson. 500,000 men marched east, believing in the myth, the legend, the man. But Russia gave no quarter. Winter came early, with blizzards that froze flesh and steel. At Borodino, the fields ran red, the earth soaked in the blood of tens of thousands. Moscow burned behind them, leaving only ash and despair. The retreat became a nightmare. Hunger, frostbite, and sorrow hunted them down. Fewer than 30,000 stumbled home, ghosts of an army, remnants of a dream. For most, such ruin would be the end. But Napoleon's legend lives in what he did next. Exile to Elba, a toy island for a fallen emperor. Mocked once again, written off as yesterday's storm. Did he fade into history's shadows? Never. He turned exile into laboratory, reading, planning, rebuilding his body and mind. He watched for the smallest spark, France's unrest, the weakness of kings. Then, one midnight, with just 600 loyal men, he escaped, sailed for France, landed alone. Royalist soldiers closed in, muskets leveled at his chest. He tore open his coat, daring them, "If any man would shoot his emperor, here I am." The army did not fire. Instead, cries of "Vive l'Empereur" rolled across the fields. In weeks, he swept into Paris without firing a shot, a myth resurrected by sheer willpower. But fate always asks for a final price. Waterloo, the end of the legend. Delayed attacks, muddied fields, Prussian reinforcements thundering in. Betrayal and miscommunication. That day, destiny turned its back. But even in final defeat, Napoleon revealed what true greatness means. He spent the night moving among the wounded, comforting soldiers with gentle words, his lantern flickering in the mud. His last words were not of conquest, but of love. France. Army. Head of the army. Josephine. And now, the torch is passed to you. What fortress do you let stand unchallenged in your life? What sneers and slights have you let become the bars of your own prison? You are not required to accept the world's script. You are not obligated to wear the label others assign. You can be outnumbered, mocked, exiled, beaten by circumstance, and yet still rise, still storm the gates, still command your legend into being. Remember Napoleon's true secret. Turn mockery into motivation. Make every setback a springboard. Lead from the front, even when you tremble. Obsess over your preparation. Leave nothing to luck. Strike when your moment comes. And above all, refuse to accept the fate handed to you. The world does not remember those who play it safe. The world remembers those who, when surrounded, dared to charge. Let today be the dawn where you shatter your limits, where you seize your impossible, where you rise, battered and unbroken, and roar back at the universe. You do not decide my ending. I do. So stand. Advance. The empire you seek is not a far-off fantasy. It lies within the reach of your courage, your discipline, your relentless will. Charge your Waterloo. Defend your Paris. Seize your legend. For the world bows only to those who never, ever bow themselves. This is your hour. Forge your legend, and let the world write your name in thunder.